morning and welcome to The Point. It is Thursday, July 1st, 2021. Thank you to those of you joining us on the GBN, Grenada Broadcasting Network's Facebook page, the Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel, the website www.gbn.gd, GBN TV channel 7, 11 and 20. So good morning to the listeners of Classic 105.5, 105.9 and all the folks joining us on Party Grenada and Go to Fet Facebook pages. This morning we will be talking with representatives of the Grenada Planned Parenthood, or should I say the president of the Grenada Planned Parenthood Association's board, Mr. Tyrone Buckmeyer, as well as the CEO of the Caribbean Family Planning Association, Ms. Patricia Bisnoth. But before we do that, I have joining us on the telephone line is a forecaster at the Meteorological Office at the Morris Bishop International Airport, Cassia Johnson, and she will give us an update in relation to the tropical storm that is approaching the Southern Caribbean. Grenada is now under tropical storm warning. Watch. And Cassia is online to just give us a very brief update in relation to that and what we can expect before we get into the discussion with Mr. Buckmeyer and Ms. Bisnoth. Good morning, Ms. Johnson.
Good morning, Blossom. Yes, we're under a tropical storm watch, not a warning. We're under a watch. As of 5 a.m. this morning, tropical depression number 5 upgraded to tropical storm Elsa. And as of 8 a.m., it is currently at 9.6 degrees north, 50.2 degrees west, which is approximately 780 miles east-southeast of the Windward Islands, including Grenada. It is currently moving westward near 25 miles per hour. However, it is expected to pick up an even faster pace and move towards the west-northwest, which will take it over and near Barbados and St. Lucia. That is why we're under a tropical storm watch. The countries that are under tropical storm warning are Barbados, Martinique, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Based on the current track that Elsa is expected to take, we're expecting to feel effects more so over the northern part of the state, which is PT Martinique, Carriacou, and the northern part of Grenada. We're expecting some cloudy conditions to overcast, thunder showers, and moderate to heavy showers, gusty winds, and we are expecting the seas to be really rough, so we're advising the public to please be cautious. We are also expecting a medium chance of flooding and landslides in waterlogged areas, as we already started seeing some flooding yesterday with that tropical wave that just passed us. Any more water will cause more flooding and landslides, so please be cautious.
And just for the sake of the viewers and maybe myself as well, just clarify the difference between a tropical storm warning and a tropical storm watch.
Okay, so a tropical storm warning means that tropical storm conditions are expected within 36 hours, and the tropical storm watch means that conditions are possible within the next 36 hours. So those countries that are under the warning will definitely feel the effects. It is expected, but those are under a tropical storm watch. It is possible to feel the effects.
Okay, understood. And again, we'll start to feel those effects as of what time, so?
As early as late on Friday morning and going into Saturday, as those feeder bands that are more so lagging behind the center of the storm comes in on Saturday as well.
So hopefully by Saturday evening, Sunday morning, we should see better weather or improved weather.
Clearer skies.
Oh, clearer skies, that's the term. Thank you very much, Cassia. Appreciate it.
No problem.
All right. Cassia Johnson, forecaster at the Meteorological Office at the Morris Bishop International Airport, giving us an update on tropical storm Elsa. She has been upgraded from a depression to a tropical storm. Grenada is on a tropical storm watch. Those of you in flood-prone areas, areas that are prone to landslides, mudslides, and flooding, please exercise caution. Ensure that you have what you need to go through this time. As Cassia said, we would experience more inclement weather as the day progresses Tomorrow, please the Lord, Saturday, and hopefully by Saturday evening, Sunday morning, we shall see clearer skies. But in the meantime, ensure that you are prepared, your family has what it needs to go through this time. And if you live in flood-prone areas, again, see if you can get to higher ground in the meantime, or spend the night or the weekend with a family member or two, if that's what you need to do to split up your family as we go through this time. Again, Tropical Storm Elsa would pass just north of Grenada, but we are on the Tropical Storm Watch, as it is possible that we would experience the effects of the tropical storm. Heavy weather, rain, thunderstorm, lightning, much of what we saw yesterday, although that was an Elsa. So you can just imagine what Elsa will be coming with over the next few days. So just an update for our viewers and listeners. All right, now let's get into the discussion that we have planned for today. Again, joining me is President of the Grenada Planned Parenthood Association Board, Mr. Tyrone Buckmeyer, and the CEO of the Caribbean Family Planning Association, Miss Patricia Bisnoth. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for your patience.
A very good morning to you.
Thank you.
And thank you for having us. And good morning to Grenada, the beautiful island.
Appreciate it.
Good morning, Blossom. Good morning to Pat, and also to the viewers and listeners joining us this morning. Thanks for the opportunity to have this conversation today.
And thank you for joining us. It was just over a year ago, in the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, as we were getting into what the pandemic would bring for the next year or so. It was just a year ago, Mr. Buckmeyer, that we spoke, and we were highlighting some of the challenges that the GPA was going through, and some of the steps that you had to take. A year later, July 2021, I'm hoping that you're bringing good news for us this morning in relation to the GPPA.
Yes, indeed, Blossom. We are bringing good news for Grenada. The good news in a nutshell is that Grenada Planned Parenthood Association is on its way back. We have actually gone through quite an amazing process in the last period, since early 2020. But at this point, we're very happy to say that the association is putting mechanisms in place to fully resume its operations by the 1st of August. However, people don't necessarily have to wait till the 1st of August, because GPPA's Grenville Clinic has actually been open for the last 3 months, and we have a nurse there, and we're providing the full range of services as our Grenville Clinic. But we are now in the process of rehabilitating the building in St. George's, which houses our 2 main clinics and our administrative offices. And if the weather cooperates, we anticipate that the building will be handed over to us by the 3rd week or so of July, and that we will fully resume our operations as of the 1st working day in August. That's excellent news, in fact, not just good news.
I agree. Excellent news. Excellent news. So just recap for us the challenges that the GPPA faced 2020, even leading up to 2020. I know that we're getting ready to rise from the ashes, being a little bit dramatic, but as we're preparing to rise from the ashes, tell me what the GPPA has been able to overcome.
Right. So the main challenge we face is that we were having some financial and other difficulties in 2018, 2019, and we were forced as a board in December 2019 to take the unfortunate and extraordinary step of completely suspending all the operations of the GPPA. So we have in effect been closed from December 2019 until, as I said, we reopened the Grenville Clinic as of the 1st of April, and we're now making arrangements to reopen the St. George's Clinic. So there were a number of challenges. There were some governance issues that we had to deal with in terms of our board of directors. There were some management challenges that had to be dealt with in terms of the day-to-day management and operations of the association. And then we had some financial issues that also presented themselves. So at the time I appeared on this program last, we were talking about the dire possibilities that we may have to try to find sale for the building that the association owns as a way to bring in some capital to allow us to reboot. But fortunately, through the very able assistance of the Caribbean Family Planning Affiliation and our international body, the International Planned Parenthood Federation, we were able to secure a loan to help us meet some of the expenses and to have the GPPA return to the status of being a grant-receiving member organization of the IPPF. So a number of good things have happened. And I'm very glad that Pat is in fact in Grenada so she can participate in this conversation, because Pat has taken this very difficult walk with us, not just in the last year, but from 2018 when she came on board as the CEO of CFPA. One of the things that she had to begin to look at was the challenges that Grenada faced. Also in Grenada with us today, I should recognize that the new member association advisor or country advisor for IPPF for the Caribbean region, for our region, Dr. Alexis-Welsh. He is also in Grenada. He and Pat have been here, officially started meetings on Monday. So they've been meeting with me, we're meeting with our board, meeting with some potential CSO, meaning civil society organization partners, government partners, because we're trying to put things in place for full resumption of services. And we think it's important to begin to reconnect with those partners that we've worked with in the past. And CFPA has been a critical and valued partner in all of this. GPPA has been a member of CFPA for decades. And as a regional umbrella organization for our member associations, CFPA rose to the challenge of helping GPPA to rise from the ashes, as you say. And I would be happy to give Pat an opportunity to speak a bit to the role that CFPA played.
Yes, please, Ms. Bismarck. Tell us about how this CFPA has been able to work along with the Grenada Planned Parenthood Association to get it back to, as Mr. Buckmeyer put it, grant receivable status and going through that challenging time.
Well, thank you very much, Blossom, and thank you very much, Mr. Buckmeyer. And let me begin right there that Mr. Buckmeyer, in particular, with his board, played a very, very important role in this very steep uphill climb for GPPA. So the Caribbean Family Planning Affiliation is a regional or leading organization for sexual and reproductive health and rights, and the only regional entity, in the Caribbean. And we have currently 16 member associations. Grenada is an affiliate member, and we work closely with Grenada. And we do support them and offer assistance in relation to strengthening management and board to ensure that, they're weathering the storm, not only weathering the storm, but that they are serving the people of Grenada in the best way regarding their sexual and reproductive health and rights. And also, let me say that, in 1968, the first secretariat of the CFPA, the Caribbean Family Planning Affiliation, was based in Grenada. So that tells you there's a strong link with Grenada and establishing such a regional entity. And the GPPA has been a real shining light, recognized not only nationally in Grenada, but in the region and among important donor partners. So CFPA became involved in this situation when, like many organizations, struggling. There are times, sometimes we take any which way, and it was an unfortunate situation that the organization went down a really slippery slope, and it happened very quickly. My interest in that of the CFPA and the International Planned Parenthood Federation have been how the people would be affected, how this would impact, and knowing GPPA's role in providing sexual and reproductive health services and a range of these services. They're known for this since the early days. Actually, like other Caribbean family planning associations, it was the family planning associations that really came out to ensure that what women's rights organizations were working for, post-independence, after after we had the right to our sovereignty, but that women will also not only have the right to vote, but exercise their full potential, and family planning, as we may all understand, played a critical role. So with GPPA and that legacy and history, we were in contact, and the board really, and Mr. Buckmeyer in particular, really helped us open the door for us to understand how important it is to rebuild this organization. And so, yes, we committed ourselves to walk this difficult journey. And I'm really happy to be in Grenada, where so much has been achieved, where we are now ready to relaunch. And, it is said that crisis is an opportunity. And I think we are taking every opportunity of the crisis that GPPA has gone through.
You mentioned that it was a slippery slope for the GPPA last year, which went quickly. And in my view, I feel like its return has happened quickly as well, in just about a year or so. What was key in ensuring that the GPPA was able to rise, was able to go through this crisis and get to a point where it's ready to open in exactly a month from now?
I will take some of it. A couple of the key elements for us as the board of directors, of which I'm the president, we took office in July, actually almost a year ago, July 18, 2019, in fact, at the AGM. And we came on with an understanding that GPPA was facing very difficult times. We kind of termed it as GPPA was in the midst of a perfect storm, a good analogy given where we are right now with Elsa and so forth. But we were in the midst of a perfect storm. And I felt our board felt one of the things GPPA needed to do was to come clean about the reality of the situation we were facing. So we did a press conference. I came on your program to the point in January last year to just give the general public a sense of this is where we are. It didn't happen overnight. It was a quick decline, but there were certain steps that unfortunately the board before our board and even our board in its early days, there were a few steps that we missed. So it was important to be honest about the situation we found ourselves in as a board, as an association. It was important for us to engage with our creditors to say, we're facing some difficulties right now, but we are trying, we're putting systems in place to try to come back. And it was very important for us to be transparent and honest with the CFPA, which was the regional intermediary between GPPA and IPPF, to say, this is the reality of the situation. And Pat actually came to Grenada in 2018 and 2019 and got a first sense of the turbulence that we were going through as an organization. So after putting it out there that this is the reality of the situation, this is where we are, this is what we found, this is what we need to do, we were then able to work with CFPA to develop a revitalization plan with the CFPA board, which in the initial stage of my being the president of GPPA's board, I also sat on the CFPA board of directors. So we were able to have quite a lot of meetings in late 2019, early 2020 to present to the CFPA board the reality of the situation. And then through CFPA, with CFPA's collaboration and support, we were able to make a case to IPPF, again, going in from the position of transparency, disclosure, self-awareness. There are challenges here. These are what they are. This is what we think the recovery plan, this is what we think it will take to recover and to really beg, so to speak, although that might be a strong word, really make a strong case for their support. And most important element to all of this was that the IPP of the CFP had to see that there was a board in Grenada that was dedicated to the rebirth and rebuilding of GPPA. And they gained the confidence and trust in what was put forward, that IPPF took a very extraordinary step as an international organization. They are not a loan-making organization, right? But they actually acceded to a request made by GPPA's board, again with CFPA's backing, to provide us with a loan, which allowed us to begin to pay off our creditors. So in fact, one of the best pieces of news in all of this is that GPPA is growing from the ashes, still retaining its primary asset, which is the building it owns in St. George's. We had to look at the possibility of selling that asset. We approached some local financial institutions to try to attract a commercial loan. The terms and conditions were very onerous. We didn't think we could make it. So we made representation to IPPF. Not only did they take the bold and unprecedented step of saying, yes, we will give you a loan, they also said we are going to begin to invest in GPPA again. So as of 2021, we are a grant receiving association. But it really took local efforts, regional effort, international understanding and solidarity from the part of the IPPF. And eventually, here we are. And I'm very happy to say that while this conversation is happening, that as of yesterday, we have paid off about 80% of the creditors that have been owed going back to 2018. They have received their checks as of yesterday. I think there are only 4 big number creditors that we have not yet settled, but I am giving the assurance that we are in a position to do so, and we're making arrangements to do so. So as you say, Blossom, the recovery, for those of us on the inside of it doing the day-to-day slogging and negotiation, it was a long, painful, sometimes very frustrating process. Not frustrating because people were not giving us a hearing and showing their commitment and willingness to help. Frustrating because sometimes when you really want to get something done, you want it to get done quickly. But in the end, when you look at it, in fact, as you said, realistically, we had the first we had a conversation in January last year, which is practically doom and gloom. And here we are on July 1st saying we've had a complete turnaround. So you're right. Thanks for recognizing that it has been, in fact, a rather quick turnaround in the bigger scheme of things.
Mr. Bisnott, how critical was it for the CFPA to throw its backing, its support financially, supportively to the GPPA to ensure that it is back up and running, especially in what I call a timely manner in just about a year and a half? How critical was it, especially considering the other such services across the region?
Well, it was rather critical because an entity, no one can stand alone normally, and when one is facing a crisis, when one is down and feeling down and out, and the situation is as such, because as Tyrone described the situation, it was a huge financial crisis, but also a crisis of management and governance. So they needed that help, and the CFPA provides oversight. So it's our role and our responsibility also to our members to ensure that they are healthy and that they are strengthened for the purposes that they serve. So CFPA took on, I began my role as CEO in September of 2018 and visited Grenada in November. And that's when I did an assessment and saw, clearly that there is a very troublesome a problem here that can escalate. And so it did, because at that time, well, that's when Mr. McMahon was not president, but I'm grateful he was still a main contact. He was on the board, but not the president, but he was like my main link because he was responsive. It's very difficult to work with anyone and an entity if there is not an openness and a response, and of course, a will to work together. I think what we've learned in this situation, that we can learn in every aspect of our lives, corporate and personal, is trust, building trust. And Tyrone mentioned another word, and solidarity. So building the trust and the solidarity, I think it was not on one side. It was not only on the CFPA side or the IPPF side, but also on the Grenadan side, to trust and to come together, to be of one accord in moving forward. So the financial aspect of it became, more realistic when we would have established these three main elements. And for CFPA, we have provided, because by then they had no staff because they had no money. And as Tyrone said, it went in such a terrible way that they thought that the only thing they had was the building. Sell the building. I remember when he was saying, I said, no. Because, for me, the string of hope, someone wrote a book, Cornel West, Hope on a Tight Rope. And this is how I saw it, that we needed to keep that hope alive. We need to have these learning minds and hearts to know what is to be done. And for me, the board was important, and the people. There were also, people, nurses, and people who were contacting me about what is happening in Grenada. You see, the GPPA serves vulnerable populations and people who may not be able to afford the kind of healthcare that they're looking for, and also those who feel more welcomed and comfortable at GPPA. And for me, my heart, and the same I would say for IPPF, that's where our hearts are, with people who are vulnerable, people who need, and people who often may, time and time again, be marginalized, by the system. And it happens in every country. Governments do their best, but throughout the Caribbean and Grenada, with our, sometimes weak health systems, it happens. And GPPA and CFPA, we have that mandate to serve the people and to serve people with the best quality, and to ensure we are serving with a rights-based approach. We respect the human rights of all people and all our diversity as a people and as a nation. And for CFPA, this was very, very important, that we really need to do our utmost that Grenada GPPA cannot be closed. It is for the people of Grenada.
Grateful to hear that. And before we go to the break, Mr. Buckmeyer, you mentioned earlier as well that part of the revamping of the GPPA included issues with management as well as the building. Have those issues been rectified? New management, same building, new building, refurbishing building?
Yes, we are in the process of recruiting administrative management staff. So we've talked to, we've reached out to someone. We're in discussion about, bringing on a new executive director as of the first working day in August. We've hired an administrative assistant who came on June the 1st and has already been helping out with, some of the day-to-day admin issues related to the running of the association. We have the current board of directors. Our term should have expired last year, but given COVID and all the other issues that were happening, we did not have an AGM. So one of the going forward things that we are discussing and trying to put some timelines to this week, while Pat and Dr. Welsh are here, is the holding of an AGM. We are at the moment, we have begun in the last 10 days or so to reach out to a number of people in Grenada who can potentially, who we hope will be willing to join the board or volunteer sometime to the GPPA at different levels, so that by the time we come to an AGM, which we're looking at towards the end of the year, we would be able to hopefully recruit some new persons onto the main board itself, onto a board advisory committee and other committees that will give GPPA a much better base for the effective governance of the association. It is critical that where we operate as a small organization as a member association of a huge organization, the IPPF, there are clearly a lot of governance and guidelines and rules that are expected and standards. And GPPA fell down on some of those in 2018, 2019. So we're putting things in place to ensure that we bring on new management, which we hope will receive all the necessary training and so on to be very effective very quickly. And we will strengthen the governance that currently exists and expand on it later on in the year going forward.
And once we open the doors August 1st, what programs would you be offering or services would you be providing for the nation's women, possibly men? Do we have new exciting programs coming on board? What can we expect?
Well, first we will resume the full range of services that GPPA offers, sexual and reproductive health services for both men and women. And that includes a range of contraceptive services, a range of health checks and other services. We have been approached by one of our regional partners, the Pan American Health Organization, to potentially partner with them for what is called the scaling up of sexual and reproductive health services to the community at the community level. So that will be an innovation. Before we suspended, we had a number of direct services for youth. So for example, we had a youth advocacy movement, which was young people who joined the association as youth advocates to ensure that they were putting the messaging out there, advocating for the rights and access of young people to these necessary and critical services. So in the first instance, to just reopen with the full range of the services that GPPA was known for, including quality confidential care as a critical benchmark for us. Thereafter, we'll be looking to collaborate with other partner organizations. As I mentioned, PAHO is one potential such organization. UNFPA is another one that we've already had conversations with a view, and then local organizations like Grenades, Grenchap, other organizations that provide similar or related services so that we are able to sort of plug in again to a network of regional and local and regional support that will allow us to be able to serve the public much more effectively. And the person that we have up to this point, we have intentions of taking the position as executive director on August the 1st. She is very dynamic, has been in the health sector in Grenada for almost 30 years, very, very experienced, very enthusiastic, very passionate about ensuring the widest possible expansion of SRH, sexual and reproductive health services in Grenada. So I'm excited as the board chair to have been involved in the recruitment of a good team that we're building. And I think once we can get the governance piece right, I think GPPA is poised for takeoff again.
Good to hear. Let's take a break and then we're going to come back and field some of the questions that our viewers and listeners have started posing. There's an interesting one on WhatsApp. I think that will be my first question that I may ask you when we come back, Mr. Buckmeyer. This is To The Point on Classic GBN. We'll be right back.
Do you hear what I hear? Listen to the ocean and you will hear a cry for help. The ocean is hurting, and we are the source of the hurt. But we can stop and start to heal our ocean by preventing pollution from getting into our waterways. It can start with you. Join an active organization, or better yet, make a personal commitment. Commit not for just one day in the year, but for the rest of your life. Let's dispose of our plastic and other waste responsibly, and let's start building resilience. Let the healing begin.
This message is brought to you by the OECS Commission with funding from the Government of Norway. REMLIT, tackling ocean pollution from tooth to sooth.
Montreal, it's time to line virtually one more time. Gemma Rayburn Baines here for Spice Island Cultural Festival, a celebration of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. This summer's festival is a celebration of life with food, fashion, music, and culture. Join us online Saturday, July 10th, 3 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube at Spice Island Cultural Festival. Info, spiceislandculturalday.com.
Grenada's chief medical officer has ordered that all confirmed positive COVID-19 individuals, their contacts, and members of their household must remain in quarantine or isolation for 14 days. Anyone who fails to comply with this order will be in breach of the Public Health COVID-19 Regulations 2020 and is guilty of an offense. Upon summary conviction, that person will be liable to a penalty of up to $10,000. A message from the Ministry of Health.
Looking for that injection of vibes and energy, of course? Well, I've got just that. Hi, my name is Gary, Mr. Smooth, and I'm inviting you to join me on the Hot Morning Show on Hot 98.5, 98.7 FM. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 10 in the morning. I've got a healthy dose of your favorite and most infectious hits sampled with information, news, laughter, and all the other ingredients that go into making the hottest morning show on the radio. The Morning Heat. And while you're at it, don't forget to hit us up on WhatsApp, 435-7517. We've got topics, we've got discussions, calls, voice notes, and so much more. But I can't tell you everything. You gotta tune in. The Hot Morning Show on Hot FM 98.5, 98.7 with yours truly, Gary, Mr. Smooth. Kaboom!
JBN Television News at 7, a pulse on all things Grenadian. Look out for our new features through expanded synergies with our media partners in Barbados, St. Lucia, Jamaica, Trinidad, and beyond. Capturing the latest in news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Credible, informative. Thank you for making us number one.
Welcome back to the Point. We are speaking with President of the Grenada Planned Parenthood Association Board, Mr. Tyrone Buckmeyer, and CEO of the Caribbean Family Planning Association, Mrs. Patricia Bisnoth. At this point in the program, we are going to open the platforms for our viewers and listeners who may have comments, questions, queries, concerns. Now is your opportunity to ask them. The landline number is 435-2041. That's also the WhatsApp number. Please, only written messages on WhatsApp, and you can continue to post your comments, questions, queries, concerns on Facebook and YouTube. Let's go to our first caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. Mr. Buckmeyer, I would like you to pull a pen and a paper. There's a couple of things I want you to take note of. Some years ago, I visited the Planned Parenthood organization in St. George's. And every time I visited there, there weren't any clients inside there. There weren't any people coming for assistance. And I found that a bit strange. So the other thing I need to find out is that I would like the organization to put more emphasis on men's reproductive health. Please, please, please. This organization needs to serve Grenada in a comprehensive way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Caller?
All right. Should I respond, Blossom?
Yes, please.
Well, points well taken, caller. Thank you. We are looking as part of our revitalization at a public media, a public sensitization media campaign that will allow us to hopefully have greater reach and attract more clients. I mean, on the days you passed, maybe they were just slow days, I don't know. At the time of the suspension of our services, Grenada Planned Parenthood Association had 6,131 clients. So we have had a presence, we've been around for a long time, but the point is taken that we need to have more visibility so that more persons take advantage of the service. And you're absolutely right, we need to do more to ensure that men's health issues are given, can be addressed, that men can feel comfortable to visit, to attend at the clinic to get support, to get information. In the past, we did have a good collaboration with St. George's University and the Ministry of Health, through which we did a series of annual men's health clinics. So those are some of the things that we intend to resume. But I would say that we really do appreciate and look forward to any input from members of the public as to how we may be better able to serve the public. So thank you very much. I appreciate your comments, gentlemen.
A WhatsApp question. What would you say, Mr. Buckmeyer, what would you say to people who would say that the position you hold at the GPPA is a job for a woman?
Well, I'm currently the president of the board of directors. We've had a number of presidents who were male. When we have the next AGM, maybe a woman will put herself forward and be elected as the board chair. It's certainly not a position that I own. I'm prepared to step down once somebody puts themselves forward and the membership at a duly convened AGM feels that that person can, help to carry the organization forward. I would also say that our current board of directors is made up of both, men and women. The executive director we would have in place from August the 1st is a woman. We've had both male and female executive directors. So, in this day and age where we are all exposed to information and learning and so forth, we think that whoever is best qualified and comes forward for the position and, is considered suitable will be given the position. So I'm happy to hand over to a female board president at the next AGM if one comes forward.
Facebook, somebody on Facebook, and there's a question on the YouTube as well. I guess they're kind of both on the same line. But let me ask the Facebook one. The Facebook question asks, in the U.S., we have heard or seen in the Senate the debate of funding given to family planning, which the Republicans are against because of the abortion and the right to life. And on the other hand, Democrats are saying that it's a woman's right and their decision. The question is, what are your views on both stands? How is your organization being funded? And the YouTube version of that question is, do you believe it's a woman's right to choose? And in what instance should a woman have an abortion?
So I'll take a piece of this in the last part to help me with it. First, the conversation, it's interesting, Blossom, a year and a half ago, somebody asked a very question about the Democrat-Republican stance. There has been this thing that goes back to the 1980s called the gag order, the gag rule, where Democratic administrations traditionally would provide funding for international Planned Parenthood efforts, sexual and reproductive health efforts, health and right efforts, which is the broader framework, because they do believe that it's a woman's absolute right to choose. Republican administrations, on the other hand, generally will cut funding for international efforts that promote sexual and reproductive health and rights. That has implications for the global work, including the trickle down to the region, because, of course, International Planned Parenthood Federation, as a global body, gets its funding from a number of governments, right, and international organizations like the UN system and so forth. So our funding that GPPA receives will come from a pot in the IPPF that is contributed from a variety of sources, government and non-government sources. We absolutely believe that sexual and reproductive health services or a woman should have total autonomy over her body and the choices that she makes in relation to her sexual and reproductive health. And we believe that in order to facilitate her in exercising that right and having access to choice, we must provide a range of services that allow her to do so. That's the stance of the Grenada Planned Parenthood Association. I would ask Pat to jump in here, please.
Thank you very much, and thanks for that question. It's one that a difficult question that in the Caribbean we are still grappling in 2021. But to say that, let me first say that a woman should not have this problem of an unwanted pregnancy in the first place. Why does it happen? And it happens only to her. Two persons have sex, man and woman, but the woman gets pregnant, and the choices that she will have, these choices are very important in terms of her and her own positioning in life and also many other circumstances. So her right to choose is really very important. I am from Guyana. Guyana decriminalized abortion in 1995. And let me say that we are seeing, we don't have the data to back it up, but I'm the former executive director of the Guyana Responsible Parenthood Association. We're giving women the right to have safe abortion. Also enables her to have the information and to be put on a plan that she would not have repeat abortions and that she would educate her girl children and the children in her family, and boys also, but primarily the girls, that they would protect themselves against unwanted pregnancy. And let me say very quickly, in countries that still hold that very old rule, such as that law that criminalize abortion, women do have abortions. Let us face it. But therefore, those who have money can pay a lot of money to have it, but many are forced to have unsafe, and risky procedures that affect them, and their families. I think that it is a timely discussion again, that we need to look from the perspective, of the health risk and what is happening to women, and also to look at the pros and cons. Is it promoting abortion? Well, that is not what all the countries that have decriminalized abortion, that is not the experience. What it does allow, though, is for safety and also to reduce and hopefully, eradicate the need for abortion. And let me pitch us in here. I'm also speaking in my capacity. I am a minister of religion. I am Reverend Patricia Bisnoff, and I am a Presbyterian pastor in Guyana. So it is I know, and I say that because I think the religious views are very, very important, and how we struggle with it and how we listen to each other. Those who have problems with this and those who would like to see the decriminalization. I think we need to have honest, open, and empathetic conversations on this issue.
Yes. Blossom, I would say, in case there's any anxiety on the part of listeners and more questions might come in relation to the abortion issue, Grenada Planned Parenthood Association operates within the confines and the dictates of the law of the country. We do not provide abortion services at the Grenada Planned Parenthood Association, but should a client come in and wish to have information in terms of what a safe procedure, we will provide the information as part of the suite of services that GPPA provide, but we do not provide any abortion services because as of now, it is still illegal in Grenada, except under very strict circumstances which are defined in the law. But our belief and one of our guiding principles that women and men must have, women in particular, because we've always had the issue about women's rights being restricted in terms of access to safe sexual and reproductive health services, we uphold that right vigorously, we defend it, and we will provide all the services that we can legally provide to ensure that women can make those choices.
Let's go back to the landline. Good morning, caller.
Hello, good morning. The gentleman said that they don't provide abortions. Okay, that's fair enough. If someone come into the clinic, is it possible for them to get some sort of counseling before they leave that clinic and go somewhere else to maybe have an abortion or try to change a person's mind from having an abortion? Is there any counseling that is taking place in this clinic? Let's get this thing correct, please. Thank you.
Yes, GPPA, our nurses are trained to provide counseling and a range of sexual and reproductive health issues. We will provide all the information that is at our disposal so that persons can make independent and informed choices. Will we say to somebody, well, when you leave here, you should go and get an abortion because it's not good for you to carry this pregnancy? Absolutely not. Ever says something like that to a client, I would like to know about it, at least while I'm in this position. Because we do not believe that we have the right to try to persuade an adult in anybody in any direction in terms of a choice. We want to give them the information about what is safe. We would speak to what is allowable under the laws of Grenada. We will ensure that when the client leaves, hopefully some of the questions she may have come in with are answered. That will help her to make a choice that is best for her and her family in the circumstances. But we will not provide, offer, perform any abortion services in the clinics of the GPPA, at least not unless our laws change.
WhatsApp question. Somebody says, Mr. Buckmeyer, you have been a part of the You have been a part of the organization for 15 years plus and seen its downfall. So what? Sorry. You have been a part of the organization for over 15 years and seen its downfall. So what are you saying? You will still be there to build, then break?
Well, first, I was not there for 15 years plus. I proudly worked with Grenada Planned Parenthood Association in the early 90s, from 1988 to 1998. I resigned and I joined the board of GPPA around 2014. I served in one board position before I became the chair or the president of the board at the AGM in 2019. And I'm saying that we intend to hold an AGM at the end of this year, around November, we're looking at. And anybody who is a paid-up member of the board at that point is free to stand for any of the positions on the board, including chair, because a few minutes before the elections begin, all board positions will be vacated. I've already expressed to Pat and Dr. Welsh and even the current board that I lead that I think, I have served, I've given what I can, I've done what I can to help the association, and I'm ready to move on. In fact, I have been serving on various boards in the course of my professional life over 30 years, and anybody who knows me or who understands where I am now in my life, in fact, I have stepped down from almost all boards I serve on. GPP is one of only 2 boards I currently sit on. And when the time, as soon as a viable person comes forward and is willing to stand, there will be no board chair at the moment of the election at the AGM, and therefore anybody can stand then and get the position.
Hold on. Landline, no. A Facebook question. It has been reported that there has been a drop in Grenada's birth rate. What does your organization plan to do to help increase Grenada's population? I like that one.
The job of the Planned Parenthood Association is neither to increase nor decrease the birth rate. It's to help persons have information and services that allow them to make informed choices about the size of their family, that allow couples, partners, families to decide on how many children they want and to allow them to have access to supplies and services that allow them to make those decisions. So I heard the news about the increase in Grenada's birth rate. I am not going to take the responsibility on the shoulders of poor little Grenada Planned Parenthood Association to say we're going to have to increase it or decrease it. That's not our mandate at all.
There is a question on the WhatsApp. Okay. Somebody on WhatsApp is asking, I need an advice. I am a mother of 6 and I am in an abusive relationship and my cycle is 5 days late. What can I do and how can I get help, please? Or where can I go to get help because I don't want another baby? What advice can you give to this?
So what I can say is I'm happy to give the person the number for the nurse at our Grenville clinic, and you can call that nurse and have a conversation with her, and I'm sure she'll be happy to provide you that support. But I will not give the nurse's number over the phone. I will say the person is willing to send me a message or give me a call on 404-5814. After the call, I will provide the information for our nurse at the Grenville Clinic, who is currently at work, and she might be able to provide some information and support to that person. Thank you.
May I add that soon it's very important that GPPA is accessible to the people, and as you know, we're setting up. So we're working on being able to provide contact information that the public can call, because that's very, very important. And next week we are hoping to have a Facebook page set up. The one currently is locked. The association is locked out of it. So with that number, and hopefully, Blossom, thank you so much, that we'll be able to promote GPP and its services and its information that people can have access to it.
As we prepared, that question on my mind, as we prepare to close the program, any final thoughts? What will take place between now and when the GPPA reopens its doors on the first working day in August?
Right, so we are going through the rehabilitation of the building right now. They have been working on the roof for the last couple of weeks. We have to do some, internal work, replacing partitions and windows and repainting and all of that. So all of that is currently ongoing. We now have on island all our commodities for 2021, which is provided as part of the grant from IPPF. So we have a wide range of services. I know one of the things we were what was most requested in the last few months. People constantly come by, call for pap smears. We're now doing pap smears again. Depo-Provera, an injectable, we have that available. So we have the full range of services. Our administrative offices and our 2 clinics in St. George's will all be officially relaunched on the same day, which is hopefully the first working day in August, I think around August 3rd. And in between now and then, we will continue to provide orientation and training for the incoming staff to ensure that they will hit the ground running. And we will continue to work with CFPA and IPPF in terms of ensuring that the governance steps that need to be put in place with the current board until the next AGM are put in place, which will include training, orientation, a bit of hand-holding, etc. And then, as I say, we will be able to reopen the clinics. People can immediately begin to come in and get the full range of services. Persons who cannot wait until August but need some services. I know a number of persons come here. I happen to be based at Legal Aid and Counseling Clinic, which is literally right across the road from Planned Parenthood building. So a lot of clients end up coming here to find out what is happening, and it just so happens that I'm here and I can actually give them information. So I know pap smears are something that a lot of people have been waiting for. If you are willing to travel to our Grenville Clinic to do have that done, if you don't want to wait another month, feel free to do so, please. But again, reach out. We can provide more information, and soon we'll be doing from early August, we'll be doing some social media posts and some ads that will let people know what services are on. So we're ready. We just are waiting for the building in St. George's to be completed so that it is safe for our staff and clients to go to and operate out of, and that we have all the services laid on from that first working day in August.
Mrs. Bismarck, final thoughts, closing comments?
Yes, and for CFPA, we will continue to work with the GPPA. We will be working on a business plan, because one of the issues that we have to address is that these days, it's not a free ride for any civil society organization, NGO, and so sustainability and also to get ourselves out of dependency on donors. So the organization, whilst maintaining that it has its pulse on the needs of the people to serve, we are working with them regarding their sustainability, their business plan, and also to ensure they're all checks and balances, that we are more closely relating to them in relation to their, their performance, their efficiency, and addressing gaps, early. We will be seeing challenges. It's part of life, but it's about the tools that they will have and the systems in place. So CFPA will continue to work closely with the GPPA, and we'll be happy to welcome the new executive director, who is a female. That's a person who actually has been appointed and will take up her position on the 1st of August. She's already signed a contract. So, and a person who's well positioned and very skilled and experienced, and who has, a heart for these issues and a passion for them. So we will also be involved in that training and orientation. It's part of our role as a CFPA.
Blossom, in the last second, if you'll allow me, I just really want to thank the general public for their patience. I want to thank our creditors. Many of them have been waiting for a year and a half, 2 years. We, as I said, we have now paid out 80% of the debt has now been settled within the last few days. Checks have been delivered to these these businesses. The remaining 4 or so, we are making arrangements to have those payments completed within the next couple of weeks, because those are very large dollar amounts. So to just thank everybody, thank you, Blossom, for giving us yet another opportunity to speak about the GPPA, to let Grenada know that we're on the way back, and we look forward to serving the Grenadian public with the proud tradition that we did from 1963 to 2019 in the first instance, and we hope to be able to resume from 21, and then there'll be no stopping us going forward. Thank you very much. I wish everyone a very blessed and pleasant day, despite the little rains we have. God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Buckmeyer. Keep doing what you're doing. Looking forward to the reopening of the GPPA. First working day in August 2021. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have
Thank
yourselves
you
a
very
good day.
much.
Thank
Blessings
you,
to all.
Mrs. All right. That or the president of the Grenada Planned Parenthood Association Board of Directors, Tyrone Buckmeyer, and the CEO of the Caribbean Family Planning Association, Mrs. Patricia Bisnoff. We thank them both for being our guests this morning. And thank you, viewers and listeners, for tuning in to The Point. Always appreciate your listenership and your viewership. To the lady on the WhatsApp, speaking of needing assistance, I have sent you Mr. Buckmeyer's phone number that you can contact him, and he would provide you the information in relation to the nurse in Grenville, and you can always have a conversation with her. Anything that you need, I would take in front and tell you to ask Mr. Buckmeyer for it. If it's counseling, if you need assistance, and I'm sure whatever way that he can assist, he will definitely do so. So I've sent you his number, so just please reach out to him at soonest. And hopefully that situation can improve sooner rather than later. Thank you very much, viewers and listeners. Just as an update, remember Grenada is now under tropical storm watch with the approaching weather system, Tropical Storm Elsa. She will pass, or I should say the center of the storm will pass north of Grenada, but we are expecting to experience the outer bands of the weather system that includes rain, lightning, thunder, flood-prone areas. If you live there, please find higher ground. Be safe. Those of you who travel, especially on the western side of the island where landslides and mudslides are possible, please continue to be cautious, whether you're walking or you're driving or even if you're living in the area. Please, everybody, continue to stay safe and enjoy the rest of your thankful Thursday.